So the video shows the newsreel, right, which is a legitimate view from that time. And I want you guys to just tell me, what does it suggest? So this newsreel is from 1942. It explains reason for interning Japanese Americans, right? Based on what we just saw, what are some of the reasons for internment? What did they say? Chris, your hand was up?
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah.
How long did they stay there?
So this lasts for years, okay? They're in the internment camps for a number of years. They establish communities, they work, they establish new farms. So they're there until World War II is over. And then we'll go over a timeline really quick so that you can see that. Based on what we just saw though, what are some of the reasons for internment?
For national security.
For national security, how so?
Because they feel like the Japanese Americans are like in the coast.
Okay.
They can like spy on U.S. Troops.
Okay, so if Japanese Americans are on the coast, we just happened, Pearl Harbor just happened, right? That was in the coast. And where's Japan located? What ocean? Pacific, right? So it's very close. Their fear for national security. Okay, good. What else? Reasons.
Just to be safe, just to make sure there's no spies or anything like that.
Okay, for security, to make sure that there's no spies. What else?
Maybe for their safety.
Okay, so again, safety. What else? What are other reasons that you think the U.S. would intern Japanese Americans?
To provide more land and more structure for army within, and then evacuate the Japanese so they can have more room to work with in case of another attack.
Okay, so to get people out of the way. Okay, what else? How is the internment portrayed though? How does it seem? How does the newsreel seem? Joyful, right? Johan, what does it seem? Tell me why joyful.
Because when you listen to the music, it's all like high.
It's like a beat, right? It doesn't sound like depressing. It's a beat. It sounds happy. It has like a Japanese.
Yeah, it's all.
Sounds like it. Okay. You said joyful. Why? What made you think that?
The music, like John said, and because they didn't really show anybody kind of rebel and not go.
Okay. They didn't show anybody rebelling. What else? There was like a couple specific phrases.
They provide a job for them to do, and then they're educated.
Okay, so they provided jobs. Seems like people went in and they set up their own little farms. They set up schools. What else?
And one segment, it said that one of the Japanese Americans said that they're grateful because it was like them helping out in the war effort.
Okay, so people feel like they're helping out. War effort, meaning they're helping the country. What else does the video say?
It portrays like a time for American Japanese to like flourish, like begin a new era for them, like actually contribute.
Okay, so contribute to the country. What else? There's a part in there that says they willingly, right?
Yeah, it was a sacrifice they were willing.
They were willingly trying to do this. Do you really think they were willing to do that? Some? Okay, what about, they were given about 48 hours to say, you know what, Yancy, you're Japanese American, you're a doctor, so your clinic, you're gonna have to shut it down and take everything with you in a bag, and that's your belongings in a bag. Okay? Yes?
So pretty much it was forcing them to live a different life, like the life that the U.S. wanted them to.
Exactly. They were forced into these internment camps. If you were a farmer, if you had a family, you had your own home, your own freedom, would you really unwillingly or would you really joyfully accept leaving everything behind, everything you've worked for, that process from moving from Japan all the way to the United States? Would you be that willing to just let everything go, to move into a camp?
No, I was justified. Justified because they put them in internment camps. And if we're going to compare how they treated Americans in war camps, and they got Americans got in prison, two totally separate treatments. One treatment is
Right, but these are American citizens.
okay, but the Japanese, when American citizens got captured in Japan, they got treated like the worst citizens on the planet. Most of them died. They didn't even get fed well.
Okay, so after?
They didn't even get fed at all, most likely.
So the aftermath. So are we saying it's okay? What do we call this? Putting one group of people,
Segregation.
segregation, do we not see this happening again?
It's happening. This
Where is the question of morality and ethics and social justice? Where does that come in? I want to see where you guys think this is leading to.
Just, I mean,
So yes, defense, we are in a time of war. However, where does it leave in everything that we've seen in history thus far? Yancy?
Well, I'm kind of thinking like, you gotta put those things aside when it's critical like this. Like, so I don't think that will fall into play. Like, I don't think they're thinking ethics and morale and just trying to make the best decision that they think is gonna.
So anything goes in a time of war.
Yeah, there is no ethic, there is no morality.
What if we were those Japanese Americans?
It's gonna be an internment camp. They don't be in the internment camp.
Harsh.
It's not.
Darius?
Isn't this kind of like similar to, you remember 3 years, like, in a year, when the Native Americans were like forced into the camps to change their traditions? And
So forced into not camps, what are they called?
it's-
Reservations? Okay, so Native Americans get forced into Native Americans. They get Americanized. We see they're getting Americanized. We argued against it then. Why is it different now?
Well, we're in a war.
We're in a time of war, okay? Aaron, you have, what's your opinion?
They're painting like a picture that everything's okay with, they're about to get in the world of trouble, the Japanese Americans.
Okay.
I think probably maybe that the internment camp is like temporary. And the reservation camp is kind of like, that's a permanent.
These are temporary, however, when many get released, they don't have anything. Because why? People have stolen their farmland. They have taken their shops. They have taken their homes. A lot of people weren't able to sell their homes in 48 hours or sell their shops in 48 hours. Or here, hold my shop for me, I'll be back, and then they don't. Okay, so they lose everything. So this idea that they come in and they're gonna take care of your shop for you is a little false. So I want you guys to think the effect this is, again, we're dealing with humans here, right?
Also, no agreement for them to get their stuff back.
No, not necessarily. So I'm gonna show you guys a timeline so we can see. These are good though, you guys, I love that you guys always have opposing things. So let's just go over this timeline so we can see what we're dealing with, okay? Japanese immigrants arrived in the U.S. mainland for primarily agricultural labors, okay? 1891, so let's just read one each. So Chris, 1906.
The San Francisco Board of Education passed a resolution to segregate black children from children of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean ancestry in schools.
Okay, so 1906, we already see segregation between Asian Americans and white Americans. Okay, good. Mark?
1913, when it passed the alien land law, giving all aliens ineligible for citizenship from.
Owning land, okay, good.
1924, Congress passed the Immigration Act of 1924, effectively ending all Japanese immigration to the U.S.
Okay, so from 1891 to 1924, we no longer accept immigration from Japan, okay? And November 1941, the Munson Report, which is what we're gonna read. December 7th, Japan bombs U.S. ships and planes at Pearl Harbor military base in Hawaii. Darius, February 19th, 1942.
I can see.
Okay, Brandon, read it?
February 19, 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, authorizing military authorities to exclude civilians from any area without trial or hearing.
Okay. Without trial or hearing, right? This is a democracy. We're supposed to receive these things a fair trial. It doesn't happen during this executive order, yes?
Regarding the act about the Congress passing the Immigration Act of 1924, and then like ending all Japanese immigration, isn't that similar to the Chinese Immigration Act as well?
So it limits immigration because we're saying, oh, we just have too much immigration, we're gonna stop it, we're gonna be on hold for a little bit, and that's what it does. Okay. January 1943, Yancy?
The War Department announced the formation of a segregated unit of Japanese American soldiers.
Okay, so in the military itself, we have a segregated Japanese American. We've seen segregated units before, right? During what? World War I, right? We see African Americans have their own units. Okay. Hopefully we can get to Tuskegee Airmen. 1944, the War Department imposed a draft on Japanese American, including those incarcerated in the camps. So you're incarcerated because we're afraid of you, we're gonna put you in camps, but we're gonna go ahead and use you for the war. You see the,
Can we do this one? Thailand as well?
yeah. Richard, read the next one, please.
The Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Executive Order 9066 on Korematsu versus United States documentary.
Okay, we'll see that. Read the next one, please.
The last war recollection authority facility, the Tule Lakes Segregation Center closed.
Okay. 1980, Johan, read that.
The Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians was established.
Okay, and 1983.
The Commission of Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians issued its report, First for Justice Denied, documented.
Okay, August 10th, 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed 84442 into law. It acknowledges that the incarceration of more than 110,000 individuals of Japanese descent was unjust and offered an apology and reparation payments of $20,000 to each person incarcerated. Okay, this happens in 1941, and not until 1988 does it get acknowledged. Okay, so it's like whoever's getting this, chances are you're either an old person already or you're still young. Okay, and you get $20,000. Does that recompense for what you've gone through?
No, because that's many years that you can sell, your life is gone away while being incarcerated.
Okay, is it enough? Does it repay for what you've gone through?
I think you repay what you want to, but unless you start over.
Right.
Not with $20,000.
I mean,
Yeah, I know that, but-
No, 1988, guys, it's not that long ago.
1988, so back then,
Not-
$20,000, we couldn't do a lot. Now, $20,000 is nothing. But
No.
back then,
We'll talk about economic and how that's not a lot of money. For what you've gone through, you guys have to remember segregation, all these things, what you've gone through, is it enough? It's not enough, right? And it doesn't get resolved until 1988, which is years later. By then, many have already passed. Okay? So let's take those things into consideration. I gave you some primary sources that we're gonna read. So I want you to read in pairs. Read those first two documents, and then let's answer. We'll discuss as a class. So let's read those first two documents, and then we'll come back and then we'll discuss together.
You read it.
Yeah, read it individually, and then we'll discuss as a class.